Hello, everyone. My name is Toinette Wright. I just wanted to share something with you. We often hear people say, time heals all wounds. But if trauma is attached to your grief, time doesn't heal, it hides. So, tonight I'm going to share with you some hidden signs that most people really truly overlook when it comes to us receiving our healing. I want to talk about the reasons why grief is so heavy and how grief and trauma actually connect together. So, grief and trauma are actually walked hand in hand. And so, you can't lose someone that you truly deeply love without the nervous system, going on and then interpreting this loss as like danger or shock or even a threat. And here's how they both connect. Loss is trauma to the nervous system. So when your body is registering sadness in your emotions, that's not the only thing that's happening. It's actually registering shock to your brain. And so your brain begins to think that something safe is now gone. I am not protected, and it begins to have triggers. And so one of the triggers is called hypervigilance. Hypervigilance is when you're in the state of extreme alertness, watchfulness, including, you're thinking about potential threats. Let me give you an example. If somebody calls you in the middle of the night after you've lost a loved one, you'll begin to think like, oh my God, something happened. It automatically puts you in this mode where your heart rate is rising and there's anxiety going on. So you really just don't know what to do. Another thing that happens is we have trouble sleeping. You don't always get the proper rest that you would normally get when you have a loved one, your spouse, or is gone. I know for me personally, I didn't get a lot of sleep at all. My husband passed away of 22 years back in May 3rd, 2022, I didn't get a lot of sleep. I rarely slept, tossed and turned a lot of nights. And so trouble sleeping is one. Irritability is another one. Emotional numbness is often how you begin to feel as well. I remember feeling very numb. At times I didn't cry, but I was just like, I don't know what's going on. I wasn't even intact all the way with my emotions. And also, you can start to feel disconnected from yourself. It's like you can lose yourself and who you were, who you are. It's like all of that is gone. Another thing that trauma does, it intensifies your grief. And that's because if you've already experienced any past trauma in your life that's unresolved, whether it's childhood wounds or abandonment issues or betrayal or any other previous loss, that grief can begin to activate it in your life. And so that's why with some widows, we don't just cry, but we shut down, we isolate ourselves, and we begin to sometimes feel guilty. And so we're not just having a grief moment, it's grief that's hitting us with old pains. And sometimes these pain points are reflective in our attitude, it's reflective in pain in our body. And so grief becomes traumatic when it is sudden, especially when it's unexpected or it's life altering. So when we lose a spouse, for many times, it's a traumatic grief. When I lost my husband, there was no time to prepare. It was a sudden thing. He had a heart attack. All of a sudden, he was gone. There was no time to prepare. And even if there is time to prepare, do you really prepare? Probably not. And so when you lose your spouse, often because of that traumatic grief, you lose your identity. You often lose your security. Your daily routine is gone out of the window, and your future. You don't even know what to think about your future, because all of the things that you planned for your future, it now looks very different. And so even there's a sense of feeling like, God, did you leave me? What happened? Where are you? You begin to feel like God is not there. But I want you to know that God is there, no matter how you feel. And so these are some of the signs that you're experiencing trauma inside with your grief: feelings of numbness, disconnected, or you just completely checked out. Sometimes there's sudden anger. You become irritable and you can't even explain it. I'm gonna tell you a short story. I remember one day I was looking for some paperwork that I knew I had, and I knew where I put it because I was very anal about where I kept important documents. And I began looking for this document, and I was looking everywhere, and it wasn't there. I couldn't find it. Caused me to become so overwhelmed and frustrated. I was snappy. I was snapping at my daughter, and finally, my daughter said, "Mom, hold on. Why don't you just take a minute and go, just take a deep breath and just relax, take a few minutes, and then go back and look for it." So I did what she said, and I sat on the edge of my bed, and I just began to bawl and cry, just bawl and cry. And after I felt like, all right, I cried enough, I got up and I went back to those places that I was looking before and went straight to the document immediately. And so sometimes things we can't even explain that's happening to us because you begin to feel so overwhelmed by simple things that you have to do, simple decisions that have to be made. Sometimes there's panic attacks or constant fear, intense guilt or regret. Even in your body, you begin to feel pain in your joints, and oh my God, even in your chest, it seems like your chest, you're gasping for air. It's like you can't breathe. And I remember so many days of feeling like I just could not breathe. And so there are other behavioral signs such as avoiding reminders, things that we know that we would normally need to take care of, isolating ourselves from other people, becoming overly busy just so we can avoid feeling, we don't want to feel the pain. Sometimes we shut down emotionally. And then, not to mention the physical things such as fatigue, appetite changes, insomnia, and then sleeping too much. Sometimes you can't sleep at all. I went through the period of not being able to sleep. Like I said earlier, I could not sleep. I tossed and turned, and fear sometimes would grip my heart because I felt a sense of protection when my husband was alive and in the house. I could go to sleep and sleep like a baby, not a problem. But then when he passed away, it's like, oh my God, I felt like I was on guard and on watch, and didn't know every little noise was causing me to jump. And so I just know that there's a lot of different things that change physically in your body. And mentally, there's difficulty concentrating on things and getting things done, often replaying the memory of the loss over and over and over again. And sometimes you begin to have nightmares or intrusive thoughts and feeling confused about your identity. Like, what are you going to do now? Where is my life going to go now? I know it all too well. But one thing you can do to start working towards your healing is facing the fact of where you are. And I want you to think about this. Say this with me: I am grieving and I am carrying trauma. Now, naming it simply reduces its power because you're coming to grips with what's really taking place in your life. And so I also want you to think about deep breathing exercises. Do some deep breathing exercises, not breathing from here in your chest, but breathing from your diaphragm, taking deep breaths, spending like a minute or so, just taking some deep breaths, inhale and exhale. It does wonders. Exercising, is also another good thing that you can do that can help you during this time. Journaling. Journaling is healing. You're getting an opportunity to write out your thoughts. And statistics show that a lot of people who journal during the times of experiencing grief or trauma, they're able to release because it's healing. Also, crying, shedding your tears, not holding back those tears, letting those tears out. Just begin to cry. And sometimes just sitting still in a quiet place and praying, knowing that you are not by yourself. And also, talk to someone. If you need a friend, ask for help. Get the rest that you need to get. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay for you to grieve and to know where you are in the space that you're in. And one thing I want to say, stop expecting your old self to return, because your old self is gone, because that person was right there with you and they're not. And so trauma and grief, they transform you. And the goal is not for you to go backwards. The goal is for you to move forward, but to move forward with strength, because you're called to rise. And so I just want you to know that you can connect with someone who understands grief and trauma, whether that's a coach, I'm a coach. I mean, whether there's a counselor, there's grief support groups out there, a mentor, somebody that you trust, somebody that's been through what you're going through, because healing can actually take place a little bit faster. And I'm not making any promises, and this is not an intent to diagnose or cure anything. I'm speaking from what I know for myself, my own experiences, and everybody's experience is different. But when it comes to grief and when it comes to trauma together, you need to be able to understand what's taking place in your life. I want you to know that you are not alone. Psalm 34:18 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted." So always know you are not alone. God will never leave you, and he will never forsake you. Trust and believe him. You will never be by yourself. So if you enjoyed this video today, no matter what time of day or the hour you are watching or listening to it, make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. And also drop me a comment in the chat. I want to hear from you. I want to know what you thought about the video. I want to know if it helped you. And also if there's any other thing related to whatever that you like to have shared, please put it in the comments. I'm open. And so I hope you enjoyed this time, and I'm looking forward to coming back with you soon. We're going to also have guests, and I'll be inviting others on that will be able, that's also going to share as well, different things, share their stories, share what they've gone through. We just want to be able to help, because there are so many people that are hurting. And so I appreciate your time. So for now, take care. Be blessed, and remember, you are called to arise. You are not alone. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.